Hello everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today we're taking a journey back in time, not to an era of darkness and stagnation, but to a period buzzing with ingenuity and groundbreaking ideas. We're talking about the Middle Ages, a time that quietly laid the groundwork for some of humanity's most significant leaps forward. It's an age of invention that would change the world forever. So when you think of medieval times, you might picture knights, castles, and maybe a bit of mud. And while you wouldn't be entirely wrong, there's so much more to the story. This was an era of incredible creativity, where anonymous geniuses and resourceful communities were solving problems that would redefine daily life, work, and even warfare. Forget the myth of the Dark Ages. This was a period illuminated by the sparks of innovation. Let's start with one of the most fundamental inventions, the heavy plough. Before this, farmers used a light, wheelless ard or scratch plough, which was fine for the sandy soils of the Mediterranean, but pretty useless against the dense, wet, clay-rich soils of northern Europe. Around the 7th century, a new design emerged, the heavy plough, with its vertical coulter to slice the earth, a horizontal plowshare to cut it underneath, and a mold board to turn it over, was a total game changer. It allowed vast new territories to be cultivated, dramatically increasing food production. This wasn't just a farming tool, it was the engine of population growth and the foundation for emerging towns and cities. More food meant more people, and more people meant more minds to invent even more things. Along with the heavy plough came another agricultural revolution, the three-field system. Instead of the old two-field system, where half the land was left fallow each year, farmers began rotating crops between three fields. One would have a winter crop like wheat or rye, another a spring crop like oats, peas, or beans, and the third would be left fallow. This simple change had massive benefits. It increased the total amount of land under cultivation by a third, provided a more varied diet, and the legumes planted in the spring field even replenished the soil with nitrogen. It was a more sustainable, more productive way of farming that fueled medieval society. Now, let's talk about power. Not political power, but literal horsepower, and ox power, and wind and water power. The medieval period saw a revolution in how we harness energy. The horse collar, which arrived in Europe around the 8th or 9th century, was a huge deal. The old yoke system choked a horse if it pulled too hard, limiting its strength. The new padded collar rested on the horse's shoulders, allowing it to pull with its full might, 4 to 5 times more than before. This, combined with the use of horseshoes to protect their hooves, made the horse the new superstar of transport and agriculture, far faster and more efficient than oxen. But it wasn't just animal power. The water wheel, known since Roman times, was perfected and applied everywhere. By the 11th century, England's Domesday Book recorded over 5,000 water mills. They weren't just grinding grain anymore. They were powering bellows for furnaces, hammers for forges, and saws for timber. Then came the windmill. The vertical axis windmill had been used in Persia for centuries, but the European post mill, which could be rotated to face the wind, was a new and powerful innovation. It popped up all over the landscapes of northern Europe, providing power in flat, river-scarce regions. This widespread use of mechanical power was a true industrial revolution before the Industrial Revolution. And all this innovation wasn't just happening on the farm. Look up at the magnificent cathedrals of the era. These weren't just places of worship, they were feats of engineering. The pointed arch, ribbed vault, and flying buttress were architectural inventions that allowed builders to reach for the heavens. They could open up massive walls for stunning stained glass windows, creating interiors that were bathed in light and felt truly divine. These structures were the moonshots of their day, pushing the limits of physics and human skill. The master masons who designed them were the star engineers of the medieval world. Now let's move from the monumental to the personal. Have you ever wondered when people started wearing glasses? The invention of eyeglasses is credited to an unknown Italian craftsman around the year 1286. Before this, if your eyesight failed with age, your ability to read, write, or do any kind of fine craft was over. Spectacles doubled the working life of skilled artisans, scholars, and scribes. This simple invention had a profound impact on learning and the transmission of knowledge, allowing an entire generation of experienced minds to remain productive. Speaking of knowledge, nothing transformed its spread more than the printing press. While Johannes Gutenberg's press in the 1440s is rightly famous, it stood on the shoulders of earlier medieval innovations. The development of block printing, and crucially, high-quality, durable paper as a cheaper alternative to parchment, set the stage. But Gutenberg's genius was in combining these elements with his own invention of movable metal type. Suddenly books could be produced quickly and cheaply. Knowledge that was once the exclusive property of monasteries, and the elite was now accessible to a burgeoning middle class. The printing press didn't just print books, it printed a new world of widespread literacy, scientific inquiry, and revolutionary ideas. It was the internet of its time. Of course, innovation wasn't always peaceful. The medieval period also revolutionized warfare. The introduction of the crossbow, the powerful longbow, and eventually gunpowder changed the battlefield forever. Gunpowder, a Chinese invention, arrived in Europe in the 13th century. By the 14th century, cannons were being used to batter down the stone walls of those once impenetrable castles. The age of the armored knight and the feudal fortress was coming to a thunderous end, paving the way for new military strategies and the rise of centralized nation-states with powerful armies. And what about telling time? The first mechanical clocks appeared in the late 13th and early 14th centuries. These weren't personal timepieces. They were massive, weight-driven machines installed in public clock towers. For the first time, a town's day was not dictated by the sun or the church bells for prayer, but by the regular, mechanical ticking of a clock. This invention introduced the concept of the hour and synchronized urban life. It regulated work schedules, market times, and social appointments, instilling a new sense of time discipline that was essential for the development of commerce and industry. So from the way we grow our food to the way we build our cities, read our books, and even tell the time, the Middle Ages were a period of relentless, world-altering invention. It was a time when countless small improvements and a few giant leaps combined to create the foundations of the modern world. The anonymous blacksmith who forged a better plow, the mason who dared to build a higher vault, and the craftsman who polished the first lens, these are the unsung heroes of our story. They prove that innovation isn't just about singular, flashy moments of discovery. It's a continuous process, a chain of ideas, where one breakthrough enables the next. The work done in these centuries was the essential first act that set the stage for the Renaissance and the Industrial Revolution to follow. It was truly an age of invention, one that deserves to be pulled out of the shadows and celebrated for its brilliant creativity. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey through time. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing to the channel for more deep dives into history. Let me know in the comments which medieval invention you think was the most important. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.